TimeTrader is due to be released in just 2 weeks. Over the past several weeks, I've shared a few previews and talked about some of the ideas behind it. But in this video, I want to bring everything together and give you a clear look at what TimeTrader actually does. I'll walk you through its main features, explain how I personally approach using it, and most importantly, share real-time trading results from a trader in our community who has been testing it in live market conditions. Just a quick reminder, anyone who has completed the course at any point is eligible to have access to TimeTrader. You do not need to be a current subscriber. Simply keep an eye on the public channel, which is free to access. Once I announce that TimeTrader has officially been released, just send me an email with your Discord name and the PayPal transaction showing your course purchase. Just like OmniEdge, TimeTrader finds targets. That is the main role of TimeTrader, just like OmniEdge, to find targets. The difference is OmniEdge finds targets for the session. TimeTrader will find these targets based on the windows that you determine. For example, let's say you're going to trade from 9:30 to 11. There are two windows here, and then let's say 11 to 4. It does not have to be these time windows. I'm only using it for testing purposes. Okay, you can have just one window, maybe 9 to 12 or 1 to 4 or whatever you choose. The point is you choose the windows. Now, based on the time window you choose, TimeTrader will identify these targets for you, okay, along with, of course, bullish or bearish conditions. The idea is above the midline you are bullish, price tends to go higher. Above the midline, price tends to go lower below the midline. The one thing that TimeTrader has that OmniEdge does not have is a bias filter. So you see the price over here. This price pops up as soon as, in this case, the first bullish arrow appears. What this price represents is a location where the market should be in the near future, most of the time within 60 minutes. I call this a price indication. Price indication is not a target. Price indication simply is a place where the market should be within a certain period of time. Once the filter identifies, in this case, price being above the midline, it could be anywhere above the midline. It could be far, but as we're going to see in a few minutes, it can also be really close to the midline. There is no predicting it. Sometimes price will be far, sometimes price will be close. The point is, once identified, now the filter will only favor the long side. Even if bars close below the midline, it would not matter as long as this price is still indicated. But as I said, this indicated price is not a target. The target remains, just like with OmniEdge, the highest green line. And just like with OmniEdge, once price arrives at a target, very often there is a reaction the other way. I'm not saying a reversal, but at least a reaction. Now I want to demonstrate a situation where the indicated price, here it is very close to the midline. Now it doesn't matter how close price is to the midline, the fact that it's above it will keep the filter bullish. And again, this is not the target. The target remains the highest green line right over here. Price reaches it pretty much to the tick and reacts. Now the question is, when price again comes down to the midline, is it still a long? And for me, I would stay away. Why? Well, again, those of you who completed the course, you guys know, once we have a target that was achieved, technically this could still be a long, but the probabilities drop. Not only that, if you take a look where price reaches, I don't know if you can see this right here, it's pretty much to the tick where the filter identified the indicated price to be. So it does reach the indicated price, but it no longer repeats the move up toward the target. There was a move down which the filter did not identify, and it's something we should talk about. As we know, nothing in trading is 100%. If you're going to follow the filter, there will be situations when you will miss the move. In this case, there was a bearish move that the filter simply did not pick up. And the bearish move indeed led to the target on a downside. Now, on the same day, in a different time window, we see, first of all, again, a miss of a move, right? There is no identification price here. So this move is missed. Price hits the target, right? The target, and bounces back to the midline. When price came back to the midline, now the filter does identify a price, and it's pretty far away. In this case, this price is pretty far away. It doesn't matter if the price is indicated. About 70% of the time, market will reach it, and indeed it does reach it over here. In this example, I picked a really tricky time window on purpose just to show you it's not always as easy as well, simply pick a short and price, let's say, goes down to the target. So what happens here in this time window, the filter does identify an indicated price below the midline, so it's bearish. Indeed, price reaches this indicated price, but does not go all the way down to the target, comes back. Now, there are no long arrows, meaning despite the fact that this price was reached by the market, as far as the filter is concerned, price should still come back to it in this given period of time. Sure enough, it stays short. You see there's still bearish arrows, and here price reaches this pretty much to the tick, but again does not come all the way down to the target. And that, by the way, also depends on the window you pick, right? For example, if you pick lunchtime, maybe between 12 and 1 o'clock, when things are really slow sometimes and very range bound, not a lot of participation, the market would have trouble getting and achieving these targets. It's always important to keep in mind when you are trading and not just say, well, I'm just going to hold on to these targets. You must be aware of the context, and if you decide to trade during a very slow period of time, then you really should focus on taking some reasonable hard targets. Now, something I have discovered while testing this tool in real time was something pretty interesting, I think. So in this case, you see a price does reach the target, but there is no long arrow, meaning probably what happened here was the filter actually thought that the indicated price would be below the midline. So there is no short arrow, and of course price did not go below the midline. The point is the filter did not identify the move higher. Here is what I did. I waited, so this was the original bar, right, for this time period I chose. I waited an hour, and then I inputted into TimeTrader an hour later. And now what happened was, let's make this bigger. Now if the filter did identify an indicated price below the midline, which means what it's looking for are bearish signals. The filter is looking for the move lower at the very least to get to this indicated price. Indeed, the market does reach this price, a small reaction, but it does reach this price, but ultimately this is the target, and in this case the market completes the full move to the target for this time window. In my previous video, I said there is a trader in the community who has been helping me with the testing. Now he does it using a prop firm account. The condition for the test is number one, he's only to trade one micro. I did not want any scaling in, scaling out. Then things get complicated. So just for consistency's sake, he must trade one micro, and he must trade in a direction of the filter. Now he may skip opportunities if for whatever reason he doesn't like them, but if he is to trade, he will trade in a direction of the filter. So he's been doing it now, I think close to a month, maybe just about a month, a bit less. And he shares his screenshot in a public channel, so that's available for everyone. The link is in the description if you want to come and visit the channel. In any case, let's take a look at some of his screenshots and see if we can go over and learn something from those screenshots. So first, he does not have the version I am working on right now that identifies the indicated price. In this case, it would be below the midline. He still has the previous version because I'm not completely done with this one. But when the indicator will be released in a couple of weeks, of course, it would be the version with the indicated price. So all we know from here is that the filter picks up a price below the midline, and that's why it is bearish. Of course, price hits the target. The red line below the target, that's the measured move. The measured move is simply a location that price would continue to move toward if, in this case, the bearish condition remains. Now, I don't know the time window he picked, but based on what I see, I can have an educated guess. So if you take a look, it looks like from the midline to the target is only around like 70 to 80 points. So that's not a lot of distance. What this tells me is either he picked a very narrow trading window, maybe just like 1 hour in length, or, and probably more probable, is that it's off peak time. So peak time, I believe, it's like the first hour, hour and a half of trading, right? 9:30 to 10:30, 11 o'clock, a lot of movement, and you would get a bigger target than just this. This might be pre-market or maybe during lunchtime, maybe late lunchtime, but probably off peak. Why is that important? Well, the beauty of TimeTrader, again, because it follows the OmniEdge methodology, is that it's not going to make you target more than the market is willing to give. For example, there is no point targeting 300 points if the market only going to move in a 60-point range. In other words, our targets must reflect the amount of energy that exists in the market so we can potentially achieve these prices. Now, in this case here, we have, looks like around 200 points in possible range, meaning from the midline to the target. So 200 points here, I would have to believe it's probably within the first hour, hour and a half of the New York session. Over here, the filter identifies a bearish condition. So you see it took it a while in this time window. The first few minutes there is nothing, no long, no short, nothing is identified here by the filter until this point. Again, kind of taking a quick look at the kind of range, 100 points, so not a heck of a lot. Again, I would have to guess this time window is off peak. So this is a screenshot that I shared when I first began to test the version with the indicated price. By the way, you see a whole bunch of short arrows. It's an option within the indicator. You can choose for the indicator to only paint one arrow in a given direction, in which case you would have just the original short arrow along with the indicated price and nothing afterwards. I try to demonstrate here how the market indeed reaches the indicated price. So this is the same screenshot. See, I was responding to his post with the new version. Like I said, his version does not have the indicated price, but despite the choppiness here, again, the filter stays bearish, so he was able to be profitable under these conditions. That's not easy. The point is, what helped here was the filter staying bearish, and indeed, eventually, price does reach the target. So this is an example of an easy one and done. They are not all like this, I wish, but here is an example of the filter immediately picks up the bullish condition and price almost in a straight line goes right to the target based on the range here between the midline and the target. I can assume this is during the first hour of trading. Finally, he posted some totals, and you can see very impressive. Again, trading just 1 micro using the filter direction in TimeTrader for positions. So again, over $1,500 in, let's make this bigger, over $1,500 in profit. Very small, really, max drawdown here, $337. That's pretty darn good. Yeah, 42 trades, 35 winning trades, 5 losing trades, 2 break-evens, overall 83.3%. Largest winning trade 391, largest losing trade 337. Okay, so once again, TimeTrader is scheduled to be released on July 20th. Anyone who completed the course or will complete the course by July 20th would be eligible to receive this tool. As far as pricing, as I promised, I'm going to keep this extremely reasonable. So it's going to be just $150 for TimeTrader, and whoever opts for an annual subscription in November will actually have $150 deducted from that annual subscription, in effect making TimeTrader free. But this pricing will change dramatically after the release, because I ended up spending a lot more time than first anticipating on putting it together. It has a lot of features and it has a great potential. So as I promised to those who took the course or will take the course by July 20th, it's just $150. It will be substantially higher afterwards. As always, please leave this video a like. If you have questions, you can ask them in the comments or just email me. Everything is in the description. Thank you everyone, and I will see you in the next video.